All right, Matt. Let's start even before the Muddy River thing came up. Let's talk a little bit about, in this day and age, fake news. Everybody has their daggers dipped for journalists.
Yeah.
You announced you're leaving the Herald Whig, and there is this outcry of support. How did that hit you?
Very humbling. Very, very humbling. I'm not one who likes the attention. I'd prefer to give the attention to the people who I feel deserve it. So that hit me at the heart. My mom, who is a loyal Facebook user, doesn't get on any other social media, but she has learned to love Facebook, made some comment about the fact that there's no negative comments. So that tells you a lot. It tells you that people appreciate what you do, how you do it, and have been there to support what I do and what I love to do.
You don't do this for attention.
No.
God knows you certainly don't do this for the money. But a chance to have a moment like that, just to reflect on the fact that something you wrote hit somebody who had no idea about the story matter that you wrote. Did that, in that moment, make, almost 20 years here, make it feel like it was all worthwhile?
Oh, no question. It goes back to a lot of things. It goes back to 2003. So I had written some stuff that I was very appreciative of and some stuff I enjoyed. But Jenna Buckner had a major medical issue with a brain lesion. If I want to make sure I say it correctly. But her and her mom and I sat down to talk about doing a story. She was playing volleyball at Truman State and went from being a top athlete to getting up on Sunday and not being able to lift the spoon with her cereal to her mouth. And I remember sitting in that room with the two of them talking about why we should do the story. And it was, we're doing this story because what if it helps someone else? Not put a spotlight on my daughter or put a spotlight on my battle with this illness or what I have to overcome. It was, what if telling my story helps someone down the road? What if when Daniel Wyman and I sat on the tailgate of my truck talking about him wearing his brother's number and he starts crying on my shoulder? The raw emotion that comes with that. What if somebody else deals with losing a brother? They can look at that story and go, here's how he overcame it. Or you write a story about somebody who has dealt with the loss of a best friend in a tragic accident like Riley Martin. And you see him tell his story, finally able to tell his story. The fact that I'm able to help them do that and maybe help someone down the road. Drake Green talking about wanting to commit suicide and telling his story. That way the next kid at 17 who doesn't have things going his way thinks about committing suicide, maybe has read that story, and next thing you know, he's going, well, Drake Green fought through it, I can fight through it. If you tell your story, if we tell your story the right way and it helps somebody down the road, that's important.
You're still going to be telling stories, and I would think you could have sat at the Herald Whig for years and years and years and continue to win awards and do what you do, but you've decided to take a very personal risk. And as promising as this startup is, all startups come with some inherent kind of risk. At what point were you, Matt, when you decided it was worth the leap? What was there a straw that broke the camel's back, or was it a culmination of you just trying to figure out, hey, the strictures of traditional media aren't working for me anymore?
It was conversations that I had with, I have a neighbor, mid-20s, recently married, doesn't get the newspaper. Why? Reads everything on his phone or on his tablet. My nieces and nephews are in the mid-20s to mid-30s ranges. Same thing. None of them subscribe to the newspaper, but they read all my stuff online. And you got to grasp the way the world is changing. The world doesn't read traditional journalism like I grew up on. They just don't. And you see it across the nation with papers folding, papers downsizing. And you have to give people what they want in the way they want it. They want more podcasts. They want more videos. They want more things that they can read on the fly, where they can walk into work at 7:30 in the morning, log onto their computer. Hey, let's check this out real quick before my day starts. Or at lunch. They're eating lunch at their desk. They want to read something or listen to something. You got to give them what they want. And starting to see that and understand that journalism itself is changing. That doesn't mean the pillars we stand by change. The credibility has to be there. The honesty has to be there. The fairness has to be there. The objectivity has to be there. But you can present it in a different way. And that's what got me thinking, there's a new way to present things. Let's try it. Let's see if we can take the voice I have and present it in a different manner.
How much did looking down the road at Springfield and seeing the great job that Zach Kirker and now Derek Paris have done with unlimited canvas, when you saw that there was no longer a limit on what you had to do or a time length on or a column length, that you could do what you do at any length, was that kind of freedom enticing to you in
it was
this venture?
You know, and this isn't like I thought about this because Bob Goff started Muddy River News and his associates started Muddy River News and the backing he had to get it going. It wasn't like a little light bulb went off. Oh, let's go do that. I thought about this years ago. Never got it off the ground for a variety of reasons. Never was. I think the hardest part is taking that first step. Finally, I felt secure enough to take that first step. But seeing other people succeed at this in a different manner, you know, and if you look at what Kirker and Paris and those guys have done over at channel1450.com, they've done it with video. Lots and lots of video. Well, I'm not a video guy. I will take video. There will be video segments to this. I'm a writer. So this is different. It's a different style of presenting the news, presenting the stories. But every person you look at and you pick up on something, and not just those guys, but you look at what some other newspapers are doing, you look at what some television stations are doing, what some radio stations are doing, and going, wonder if that would work if I did it this way. Would it work if I did it this way? You know, and you start piecing it together and go, let's give it a shot.
Are you going to, do you have a vision or are you carving as you go?
I have a vision. I have a vision of what I want it to become, what I see it becoming. There are going to be changes because not everything's going to work. You have to, as a good friend of mine who has worked in the .com sports world for a decade now told me, you try it, and when you see it doesn't work, you ditch it. Because if you hold on too long, then it'll never work, and then you're stuck. But you have to try things to see if it'll work. Some will, some won't. And that could be a style of podcast. It could be a style of video you use. The writing, I think, will always be there. To me, that my 20-plus year career has proven people will read what I write.
You're pretty unique among sports journalists in this market in that you are from here, and this place matters to you in a different way than maybe it does anybody else. Are you seeing the changes in media underserve what our culture used to be, and how important is that for you to keep this thing alive?
The changes in media, I think, aren't giving this sports-hungry community everything it wants. And I look at what went on in my past employer, the Herald Whig, and just the changes that have gone on there, size of paper, size of sections, to no fault of anyone in particular, but people on the outside want more. They want more. They want longer than a 2-minute sportscast, and they want to hear the stories of the people here. And as one lady told me at a Quincy Notre Dame baseball game, standing behind me, I don't want to read about stories from Idaho. I want to read about stories from here. It's always been the case. For as far back as I remember reading the Herald Whig as a little pipsqueak to now, people want to read about the homegrown talent. That doesn't mean the Quincy Highs, the Notre Dames, the QUs, the John Woods in particular. But what about the Seth Andersons who's going to play at St. Louis University, the Johnny Rays, the Riley Martins, the Josh Rabies when he was in his pro career? You know, if you're from here and you're making a name for yourself, Jordan Johnson at the University of Iowa, all those things matter to the people here. So you have to give the people what they want to read about.
Last one for you, and I'm going to go back to something I asked you earlier. You know, there was a safe route, there was a safe path for you, maybe. This is a new evolution mid-career. Is that exciting, scary, daunting? Is it all of it?
I would not say scary. Very at ease and very at peace with the decision I made to change gears a little bit. Exciting, yes. very much so. Anxious? Yes. Anxious to jump in feet first and get going and see where it goes. A little bit of trepidation from this. What if people don't view it? What if people don't log on? And I think that goes with any media, whether it would be you. What if they don't want to watch? What if they flip the channel when I come on? When I've done radio games, what if they turn to something else? So I think there's always that inherent. Am I giving the reader, the viewer, the listener what they want? Because if you stop doing it, they're going to let you know, because they're just going to quit coming to you. So I think there's a little bit of that always in how are they going to react to this. But I think what I've seen from just the announcement of what's going on and what's transpired over the last couple of weeks, I think there's some excitement. I think there's people that want to get on board. And I think there's people that are going to want to read and listen and view what we put together.